Are you ready for the Low Blows Network?
And so our watch continues as each week we break down the new episode and say a long farewell to Game of Thrones. Spoiler comings, and the latest episode is here. So let's break down what happened. It was revealed that Varys decided to handle his plot about Dany like an indie wrestler. He said mean things about her behind her back. Of course, this all got back, and let's just say he caught some heat for it. As plans for the last war were finalised, Tyrion begged Dany to cease fire, literally, if the bells of King's Landing rang. That went really well for him. In better news, he did manage to free a captive Jaime to say an emotional farewell while trying not to judge us for her shit-tasting women too much. The Hound, Arya and Jaime all tried to sneak into the Red Keep like it was the pit of oxygen. Unfortunately, the guards had heard Jaime's "but I've got a golden hand" trick before. The assault began with Dany roasting the Iron Fleet like they were spuds and making the Golden Company look more like they were led by Harry Redknapp than Harry Strickland. This was a squash match in truth, and the Lannister army tapped out in record time, causing the bell to ring. But Dany is now a true heel, so she attacked her opponents after the bell, hopping the barricade and burning the fans. Jon looked torn by this decision. I wonder if he felt he got some egg on his face. The Hound and Arya turned back. The Hound told Arya to turn back or else she'd look like him. Arya promptly sprinted. Even Gendry wouldn't go near that face. As Jaime continued his Cersei search, he was confronted by Euron, who made it clear that he prefers a sword in the belly to a finger in the bum. As Cersei retreated, we finally got Clegane Bowl, preceded by the Mountain squashing Qyburn like a bug for lols. Turns out the Mountain is basically Tyrant from Resident Evil 2, a bald prick who just won't die. Sandor didn't have a rocket launcher handy, so he settled for jumping through a wall and killing them both. Jaime and Cersei reunited and retreated to the cellar to try escape. Unfortunately, that went about as well as having sex with your sister, and the two perished the same way they came into the world, together. Arya desperately tried to escape King's Landing, trying and failing to save peasants as she went, surveying the damage done by Dany's Mad Queen escapade. She said, "Fuck your Harry Strickland, I've a horse outside," and rode off into the sunset. Then, you might have missed this, in the post-credit scene, Gendry learned how to use a fork, so it wasn't all disastrous. Anyway, we are back to recap. That didn't happen. That's just a job. Feels like there's a post-credit in Game of Thrones. No, there's not. Anyway, guys, it's just this show is going to be bedlam. It's the second last episode of Game of Low Blows, so we have to go all big for it. So, ladies and gentlemen, here to break it all down. First off, the keeper of change, Katie Harvey, is back as always. Joining us as well, we have the one and only Mr. Small Package, Phil Boyd, who spent the whole of that recap trying to make me laugh. Phil, are you raging there's no post-credit scenes in Game of Thrones?
Who says there isn't? I've never said to. Have you? Has anybody? So.
Phil, there's something I want to talk to you about, because over the past few weeks we've learned something about Katie. We're going to get it. Don't worry, we're going to introduce you.
Here's the shoe part.
You're getting the main event. You're getting the... Relax. Something we want to touch on real quickly. We've learned a lot about Katie over the past few weeks. You know, very pro-slavery views have come out about this. Was this something that you learned through the show, or has this like kind of been your secret shame that you've kind of kept for years?
I've heard about the slavery aspect. The truth is, I never really, put it down to slavery. She's very racist, though. And this isn't really her fault. Her mother's very racist. If anything, Katie's less racist than her mother. But the apple obviously doesn't fall far from the tree. She's unintentionally racist. That's probably the worst kind of racism.
Guys, none of this is true. This is going to destroy.
Joining us as well to make sure no one else gets a word in, it's Justy. He's back.
Hello.
Look at you acting like you won't spend the next 2 hours talking over everyone.
I'm going to try my best not
It's cute. No, it's cute. I appreciate it.
Fine.
And also, look...
what I thought about that one... yeah, I know. Thanks.
And also, last but not least, actually arriving early for once to a podcast, it's the one and only Be Cool. Thank you so much for joining us, and on time. It's impressive.
He just followed me here.
The minute I heard this was in Temple Bar, I was on my way to Phibsbar again.
B, I want to talk to you because, like, what's your kind of Game of Thrones origin story? Like, you don't strike me as, like, kind of a real, like, kind of super nerd, like, reading the books and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know
You're a
that.
fucking nerd.
We've never talked about it.
Skyrim.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is a good TV series.
Just a bit closer to you, right there.
a bit closer to my mouth.
There we go.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like almost in.
Almost in.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
you're grand there.
no, but like,
If
no,
you
this
ain't
isn't for
gagging on
sound
it,
now.
you
This is
ain't
just for
right.
my
Yeah,
visual.
Tease it a bit.
This is actually how I got my first Irish junior title.
Very good.
But yeah, are you a super fan? Like looking up YouTube, reading the books, all that kind of stuff. Where kind of be your line?
Yeah, like I look up theories and things like when
Yeah.
I'm bored, but I wouldn't call myself a super fan.
Right.
Like-
Okay.
Like when the Iron Throne was in Ireland, I gave my ticket away to someone else because I didn't want to do the journey. You know what I mean?
You're thinking about the mileage, like.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not that kind of
Right.
super fan, but I think it's probably the best TV series I've ever watched.
Okay, excellent. I think everyone would be excited to hear your thoughts on the episode. So we'll get to the episode now. Guys, favourite moments. What do we like from the episode? Katie, we haven't let you in yet to your career detriment, we may say. So we'll get you involved anyway. Some of your favourite bits from this episode.
It's probably all going to be white people.
Look, it's
What are
very
your
hard
favourite
because-
characters? The whites.
That's good.
Thank you.
No, because this is really hard because the only character I really like hate is Grey Worm at this stage, so that does make me look a bit bad. But,
You're not helping
Why?
yourself.
because now
Why?
I question it myself, like, because they've said it so many times. I'm like, am I unconsciously pro-slavery?
You
I
haven't asked
don't
yourself the
know.
question.
Maybe you already know the answer.
We're actually psychologically changing Katie on this show. This is fantastic.
She actually turned around when Miss Sunday got her head chopped off and says, "You know, I just really don't care about those two." That love story between those two. That love story between those two is amazing. It is amazing. Grey Worm, he never had fear until he met her because he loved her and he didn't want to leave her. And when she got her head chopped off, I was emotionally spent. Katie, on the other hand, was just like, just another one gone.
Like, no, right. What I actually said is like, I wasn't upset because I don't like Missandei. Like, I don't care about Missandei. There was nothing behind it other than I
Why
just
don't you
don't
like
really
her?
like that character. I just don't like.
Why?
I don't know. She's just not the most interesting one to me.
Okay, fair enough.
Interesting one. What do you mean by one?
Person. Can we start again?
Your favourite parts of the episode. You walked into that. You brought this up, like.
Right, my favourite parts of the episode were Tyrion and Jaime saying goodbye to each other. That was my favourite part because that was lovely and it was between two brothers and it just was very emotional.
Two white brothers.
I don't even have responses anymore. Other than I am not pro-slavery. I'm actually going to have to put a fucking disclaimer on this when I retweet it tomorrow that I am not pro-slavery.
That's just going to make the people who don't listen to it be like, is Katie pro-slavery? Like, you're going to, that's just, it draws attention to it. Like.
Let's go back to Tyrion and Jaime.
Yes,
Let's talk about that and how lovely that was. Because it was a really nice moment.
I loved when Tyrion was coming into this and he's like trying to speak Valyrian or whatever it is and he's like, I drink to eat the skullkeeper.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, it's a good running joke. But yeah, no, it was, did you cry?
I did cry a little.
She probably cried when Tyrion turned the key on his chains.
I was going to say, I thought it was a really nice touch that he freed Tyrion and now he gets to return the favour. And like, I always love that in Game of Thrones where they throw back to earlier episodes.
Right.
I like the throwback.
It feels like you're overcompensating. It's like, I really liked when someone freed another person. It feels like you're going above and beyond at this stage. It's like, it's literally like, it's literally just going to be an hour and a half of bullying Katie by the looks of things, which is pretty much, B, this is why you came along. You're all right on Game of Thrones and all, but like, you came along for the bullying Katie action. That's what I heard anyway.
Like, Katie does a lot of it herself. She says something that I politically don't agree with, and I'll just, I don't like when racists get away with it.
Okay, so
Let's just stick to the episode.
we'll get back to the episode anyway. So Phil, so some of the parts, what did you like about this episode? Phil is getting
Microphones everywhere.
The best part of this episode was definitely, I think, Cersei. I think she was gold in it. Like,
Okay.
she was so defiant at the start of that episode, and look, I'm sure we're going to touch into the actual psychology of the episode at some point. But I just loved the fact that she was so stubborn and stood there and was
She
like,
was smug, really.
She was so smug.
Yeah.
And it's typical Cersei for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, as it all started crumbling, like crawling past the Hound, just trying
She was begging Jaime to keep her
she-
alive.
She was just a broken woman.
Yeah.
And like, I just think that whole story, every time she was on scene, you could see her devolve into like just an actual human being. You're like,
Someone had there was a meme out that said Lena Headey or whatever her name is.
Lena Headey,
was paid $1 million to stand drinking wine and looking out a window. But I think it does her a real disservice of how subtly that's like the fucking her episode was like, as Phil is saying, subtly like it's the best performance out of the whole thing because she had the least to work with, but the biggest
journey to go on.
And basically she spent most of that episode drinking wine and looking out a window.
Yeah.
And then she just ran down some steps and
That was brilliant, by the way. Like,
it
let's
was
not
excellent,
oversell that.
yeah.
Where it's like, I think I just left the oven.
It was.
If I could just get past there.
It was like just a real kind of awkward. You could see her like put her back up against the wall, just eking over.
Leave you to it.
please don't throw me off the Please don't throw me off the building. Sorry.
The way the mountain killed that lad was brilliant.
Qyburn, yeah, so good.
No, it's just that I was like, what the fuck? Out of nowhere. Smashed up.
You know the way you talk about throwaway deaths. Oh, like they're trying to kill everyone off. There's only two episodes to go. His was like one of the best throwaway deaths.
Yeah.
It was like boom. Oh.
But they do that with the mountain, like when they talk about how he dashed the children against the wall. That's how he killed them. And if you remember the guy who was bragging about Cersei seeing his cock when he's having a piss, the mountain just basically puts his hand through his head, like punches him through and hits the wall. So they've already shown that the mountain can fucking, well, we all know like he's an undead fucking 7-foot zombie, like, so he's obviously the fucking a
He
beast.
can go, like,
but
he bash it.
it was he didn't even Qyburn, it was kind of like he flicked a fly away from him when he done to Qyburn, because Qyburn's head kind of exploded on like twice, like when he hit him and then when he hit the ground. It's like it'll be 2 hits, me hitting you and you hitting the ground. There'll be 2 explosions. When my hand hits your face, it will explode, and then when your head hits the ground, it will also explode. It was fucking crazy.
If we're going to talk about throwaway deaths as well, I want to give a shout out to Rest in Power, Harry Strickland, and the Golden Company, which was amazing. Such a bait and switch. Like, they brought them in, they're like, they've got elephants, there's 20,000 of them, and they're dead.
Yeah,
it was fantastic.
It's everyone was guessing what was going to happen with the Golden Company. It's like, is it going to be this epic battle? Are they going to switch sides? Because as you've said a couple of weeks ago about how they've never broke a contract, so it's like they're setting you up. But like in Thrones, they do great stuff where they set you up to think about one thing and then swerve you with the next. Like, so you've got about 3 different ways that could have went down with the Golden Company, and then it just goes down a way that nobody expects it to go.
It was fantastic. I loved it. I love the smugness of him, where he's like, "Oh yes, I am a great warrior," and then he just hears it, and he's just like, "Okay, I'm sure that's fine. I'm not going to worry too much." And then he is literally cut in half, and Grey Worm finishes the job. It was absolutely fantastic. Loved it. Boo, favorite moment from this episode? There's a lot, I know. Just stuff you liked. We can do a few.
And the Hound fighting was,
Clegane Ball.
yeah, that was good crack.
Were you dying for that?
Yeah. But at the same time, I thought we weren't going to get it.
Yeah.
It's what Game of Thrones is like.
Yeah.
I liked the ending with Arya. I thought that was
The horse.
It was just so quiet. I think that was Bran.
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
that's
heard
it.
that.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But like that's good. Like, yeah, it's good. It's good that you could think that way, but it wasn't. But, like,
It could easily have been.
it
though,
couldn't have
like-
been because his eyes were quite black and brown, and if he was to be warged over, his eyes would be that white, misty whiteness that
But they also
animals
left the
who
pasta
wore.
cup on a table, so they do overlook something.
Here, did anyone else notice about this? There's a toy car in that episode.
Toy
And yeah, right. So I had to when I watched it the second time around, I was like, yeah, definitely that's a toy car. But it could be a cart. But like, there's a little kid sitting on the ground as they're walking in, like before everything, like all the shit goes down, and he's just doing. Yeah, I'm telling you, and he's just doing like it's wooden, like, and it's got circly, like they know what a wheel is. Obviously, they have carts, so like you can have a toy cart. But I thought it was just very strange that a kid is just rolling, like especially
Ferrari,
they're supposed to be in flea bottom, and they're all like. Oh, we don't have enough food to eat and all this bullshit, and then kids going around with little wooden cars.
Justy, please. Look, will you talk sense when you're talking about the show? I really have listened to you now for the last 5 minutes, and I really think you don't actually understand the concept of Game of Thrones.
And this car, it just seemed so out of context, or like out of place in the show that I'm just pointing out.
Like, we're talking about a car here that has absolutely no relevance to the show.
That's what I thought was so strange. I want to give this another 15 minutes.
Any other fans of Clegane Bowl?
I loved it. I
else,
think
yeah.
what I loved the most about Clegane Bowl was when the Hound went down and they started switching from the Hound to Arya, and they were both fighting for their lives. And Arya was fighting to get up off the ground, and it was very similar to Battle of the Bastards. And it would switch back up to the Hound getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
So the one thing I thought, like, Mountain was able to kill a lot of people really easy, and he was hitting the Hound really hard. So is that Hound just really hardy, or is that just plot armor that's like, we need a good fight? So because he could kill someone with one shot, he should be able to kill the Hound.
The Hound is tough, like.
Yeah, he's tough.
I can accept that.
But he's tough. But you get what I mean by when he punched that guy in the head, and his hand, there was no resistance from Skull. His hand only stopped when it hit wall. So like if you're hitting the Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with how they did that because
you're hitting
it was like it was established that like the Mountain was like popping his eyes out, doing the old move. It was like the Mountain has won this fight. Like
he's toying with him.
Yeah,
That's what I think he was savouring the moment.
Yeah.
It was a long time coming. I'd savour too. Like.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being a little bit like fucking picky nitty, fucking like when I say that because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it's just that when you're watching something and it kind of takes you out for a little second. I was like watching him. He got proper forearmed, like fucking strong style Japanese, fucking Puroso, fucking forearm in the face, and I went. Oh, like, why didn't his head cave in like someone else?
His head was fucked up though, especially after the eye popping thing. Like he was.
Oh no, he
bits,
was.
like,
Yeah, definitely.
Even more so than usual. Like, the Mountain was probably like, you know what? I don't have a job. I just killed my boss, and the world seems to be ending. So I'm gonna like take my time here because I don't really have much to do. I don't have many future endeavors after this. So
he didn't have a thought.
Yeah,
like that wasn't put into his head by Cersei, other than. Oh, that's my brother. I'm going to have a fight with him now. That's the first time he saw anything other than what Cersei or Qyburn was saying.
I wanted him to talk. I just wanted to say something because Cersei was all like, I can't remember the exact thing, but she was saying he vowed to stay silent until everyone who wronged her was dead.
Right.
Wasn't that the thing that was said when he first appears?
Yeah, he wouldn't move until all her enemies were
he
killed. He wouldn't speak. Yeah,
a
vow
of silence.
Yeah. And when he defied it, I thought like, just say something now. Like, that's just a. No, this is more important than that vow. Like, it's my brother and I need to fight him. Like, that sort of thing.
Would it have been a bit of the Night King speaking though, where it's like, fuck you? Like, what could he have said?
All right, Sandor. you wanted this, you're gonna fucking get it.
Yeah, it's a little Mike Tyson voice. It's like, look, we were tweaking.
Could have been,
you gain some things and you lose some others.
Literally could have been something like Kane joining DX and like,
suck it.
We have such marks.
Yeah, really
everybody hits
break it down.
Right, let's talk about. I want to take a moment for Varys because again, I feel like the show went over this very quickly as well. Like he just died within the first 5 minutes. Was this like we were talking before the show? We were going through B's top 5 Game of Thrones characters. Varys was on the list. Do you think that he was hard done by here, just kind of getting rid of him within the first few minutes, or were you happy with this being the way you went out?
Well, I wanted him to survive the whole thing.
Yeah, so obviously not great.
But he died like a badass.
All right.
Didn't flinch. So, but really quick, I thought. First 10 minutes of an episode, gone.
Like, that would have been fleshed out a lot more had, like, obviously, this been as long as we all wanted it, the whole 10 seasons, 10 episodes fucking season thing, that would have been fleshed out a hell of a lot more.
He'd have got an episode. That would have been the end of an episode
Oh, yeah, that would have been a big kind of a fucking plot twist, what's going to happen, tune in next week kind of an issue, but instead he got 5 minutes at the start of an episode, which it was still well done for the time, but I wish it would have got a lot more time.
I wish he had died in the Crypts of Winterfell.
Oh,
he has brought nothing to that show ever since he put Tyrion into a crate and brought him to Bravos or whatever it was.
I think he was very much so a useful plot device for Dany's turn here on this episode. So like you because he's a character that he says it all the time. I'm not for any king. I'm not for any queen. I'm for the realm. So he is basically the conscience of the realm, or the whole fucking world, or whatever this fucking flat Westeros is. And that's very distracting, guys, you fighting over that fucking microphone. Didn't think it was going to go on air, did it, Phil? You acting like a 5-year-old? Well, now, everybody knows. You're a stubborn little child who's messing with his girlfriend and a microphone while I'm trying to speak. Now, where was I?
That sounds fucking awful.
What, that messing with your girlfriend like a 5-year-old?
No, because that's not what was said. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I can't remember what I said. I honestly can't remember what I was just saying just before that. Was the Varys thing?
It would have been great to see him get more, but like he did go out like a bad. Like I loved how as well. Like he left his door unlocked. He knew it was coming as well.
Yeah.
As soon as he tried to do a treason with Jon, which pretty much amounted to like treason.
But like that's what I hated about it. He's too clever for that.
Yeah,
like he spent so many seasons being so clever, and like I just thought that was a very dumb way for him to go.
They've dumbed down everyone though. Tyrion, who's meant to be the smartest lad in the world, is allowed to be locked in a crypt.
Yeah, but I see why that's happening, because Tyrion only makes dumb decisions when it comes to his family because he puts too much faith in
but
Cersei.
It's not really a dumb decision not to seal up the tombs. That's, you know what, at least address it like what we were saying.
Yeah, at least mention that.
They're fighting a lad who can raise the dead, and they're buried and
the crypts thing, but I thought you meant like his bad decisions,
down, really,
like military-wise and strategy-wise.
The bad decisions that he's been making this season and last season are also plot devices. It's not just because they're making a dumb character. It's
I know that.
Yeah, like, well, sorry, I don't mean to be mansplaining to
You're
you.
You're mansplaining my point I just made, that I understand why he made the bad decisions.
I'm agreeing with. I'm actually agreeing. Yeah, calm down. I honestly had to go back and say, I'm not
you see what's happening here is you can't explain it well enough, whereas Justy can, because he's a man.
I actually had to. I looked at Katey there while I was like reiterating what she said, and while I was kind of like, yes, I understand. I'm reinforcing what Katey says, but her eyes just cut straight through me. Like, I'm not trying to fucking mansplain here. I'm backing the fucking point up. A point I honestly can't remember again.
Yeah. So my point was, I think Varys is too clever, and I thought that was too dumb a way for him to get caught for treason. Literally, he just had one conversation with Tyrion, it gets spread everywhere, and he dies. He's usually too clever for that. I do want to know what note he was writing and where he was sending it though before it happened.
He got a few of those off though as well. Like he seemed to be writing a lot of them, because we saw at the start of the episode that's a different scene to when he so he did get a few off. Like the Prince of Dorne is going to be pissed, I'd say. Like whoever that is,
when they keep saying the Prince of Dorne, unnamed character 44.
This is it. Like, but so hopefully I would love if we see that as well. Like he did die like a boss, where it's just like he hears the soldiers coming, and then like he just takes off his rings, burns the letter casually, and he's like, oh well, come on. Like he died 50 times before. He's like, oh yeah,
he knew it was coming.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I thought you had something to say there.
Everybody just turned to look at Phil there, because he just looked like he was pondering something really serious.
Here's my thing.
Okay.
All right. Here's what Daenerys said. All right. She said when she accepted Montour's like small council, whatever you want to say. I'm pretty sure I'm paraphrasing this. He said that he would let her know when she started to become a bit cuckoo, didn't she?
Yeah.
But he never did. What did he do? Whispered behind her back.
Well,
he never went straight to her.
He did last week. He brought that up and he said, look, I think this is a mistake. But he was also whispering behind her back as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I think you're making a mistake. Yeah, that might be a mistake.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you do it anyway because, I'm going to just politic behind your back.
Yeah.
I think the characters let the kind of the legend of Targaryens dictate what they think about Daenerys, and I think that has dictated the way Daenerys has turned a bit. So when you hear things like when a Targaryen is born, gods flip a coin and the world holds its breath. That's a thing that has been said before, and they've all pointed this out. And it's obviously we're going to get into this when we talk about how no one saw it coming, Dany turning. Oh, fuck you.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that. But the whole the thing with Varys and what he said and what he did to make her, like, he basically, like, he not only him, but like he made Dany turn. He was part of the problem because he kept saying, like, oh, we don't know about you, you could be a mad Targaryen. And it was kind of, and it's in the back of everyone's head. And then, like, so she's kind of coming in like, am I a mad Targaryen?
Yeah.
Am I like, well, you think I'm a mad Targaryen, I might as well be a mad Targaryen. And then it all comes down to the end when she has that kiss with Jon and she's like, oh my God, I can't believe this kiss with my nephew wasn't romantic. And then she's like, well, then I'll lead you with fear. So, like, I think Varys had already set himself up that he didn't go to Daenerys and be like, listen, I think things have gone too far, because in his mind, when a Targaryen goes too far, the world burns.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot more people have that opinion of Dany, and that's why when she gets to West, like, she was unknown in Essos, and she was unknown in, like, Carth and Marine and all these places that they didn't see, like, a Targaryen. They saw, right, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is, like, here's a girl who has an army, or here's a girl who has 3 dragons, or here's a girl, for whatever reason, whatever they're looking at her at the time, they had to take her at face value.
Yeah.
But when she crossed the Narrow Sea, she was a Targaryen with dragons. So straight away, everybody's afraid of her. Everybody has a misconception or a preconception of what she could do, she is going to do, or she might do. And then her character gets actually fucking directed by what way people think her character is going to go.
It's like, if you keep turning around to someone who's, like, totally relaxed and being like, relax.
Yeah.
Will you relax? Eventually they're going to be like, fuck off. And it's like, I told you weren't relaxed.
It's like prophesizing your own doom by just keep on mentioning it.
That's an interesting one. I do like that. I heard an argument as well that, speaking of, we were talking about mansplaining there earlier, but it was like Dany was getting gaslighted by the men in her life who were holding her to this ridiculously high standard where it was like, no, you have to be different. Like, it's perfectly fine. What she was saying, where she's like, I have a bunch of dragons, I'm going to fly to King's Landing, burn the Red Keep, and then I win. Yeah. But everyone's like, you have to be better than that. But nobody is better than that. Like, Robert sacked the city. Tywin sacked the city. Yeah. Tywin had, like, his soldiers rape half of the city, and it's like, no, you have to be a great queen and this and that and the other, which is just not a standard that's expected of people who, like, fight for the throne.
Yes.
And eventually, like, they pushed and then got that reaction. Not to excuse her actions, because...
Is that not what she done in all the other cities, though? Like, she went in and she freed everyone. She didn't kill civilians or anything. So
Fair.
She had track record of not murdering innocents. And then she went... I don't think Varys got into her head at all.
Okay.
She...
just let him flesh that out a little bit.
I just, like...
Shut up, Justy.
Sorry, yeah. I almost pulled a Justy.
Thanks, Phil. I don't think that's her character. I think Dany was always like, her whole thing was getting stronger and stronger, and she didn't listen to anyone she didn't want to listen to. She didn't listen to people when they had the, she listened to people when they had the arena where people were fighting. She didn't want that. But then she listened to reason. But then it turned out to be against her better judgment because they got ambushed and all that.
Yeah.
But I know that goes against my original point that she doesn't listen to... She's stronger than to listen to what the likes of Varys is saying.
I'm not saying it's Varys' counsel. I'm saying it's his wariness, his fear of her. The fact that she wasn't eaten, like, and she was staring out the window. She looked. The image of Viserys, by the way, like it's one of the points I made when we were chatting about beforehand.
Yeah.
That like they made her look like an angry mental Targaryen before all this. So I'm not saying that it was Varys' counsel and she disregarded it. I'm saying it's how he has gone behind her back and I'm scared of this Targaryen. I'm scared of this Targaryen. And it's coming around to the point where she's here and I'm scared of this Targaryen so much that she goes, right, I'm going to give you something to be fucking afraid of. Like.
Yeah, this is fair. Katey, for weeks you've been talking about Dany. You haven't been a fan since the get-go. Did you feel vindicated when this happened, where you're like, I told the world!
I felt right.
Okay.
Yeah, I did feel right. Though, do you know someone tweeted on Twitter to me, of course they tweeted on Twitter, to me that I was right. I hadn't watched the episode when they tagged me in the tweet.
Scumbag.
Son of a bitch.
And I wouldn't mind, the first line of it was, since we're outside the spoiler zone. I went, I'm not outside the spoiler zone! And I turned it off before I seen anything. But yeah, it's just a foreshadowing thing. It's just picking up on all the hints through the seasons, knowing that this is where she's going to go. And, so it's not even that I was right. It was just, I read the signs and believed where the story was going. Because it's been there since season 1.
Yeah.
And people are saying, like, what? Oh, sorry, you're actually being polite, sorry.
I'm trying to hear what your point is here. You're making a really good one.
And, like, the big thing is, Phil, switch seats now with Justy.
Say that into a microphone, Phil.
Fuck up, Kate.
And the whole thing is, like, people have been saying, like, oh, you know, like, she snapped and killed all these innocent people in King's Landing. She's been killing innocent people all along.
Okay.
But people just, because they were nameless or faceless or lumped in with a different kind of group, they haven't wanted to believe it. Like, I said, like, the masters that she crucified, like,
they're innocent in your eyes because they're slavers.
No.
That's what it sounds like.
No.
That's what it sounds like, Kate. You
No.
It is the first example you brought up.
No, but like think about when
she's been killing innocents all along.
But think about, like, when one of the sons appeared in the court before, you know, and it was like, oh, he's a good man, he did this, he did that. Like, I refuse to believe, like, she picked 160 or whatever it was evil people, because she didn't screen them. And then when she brought a load of them down into the dungeon, she just picked them at random and had them burned alive again. She's been burning people alive for seasons, but has been perceived as killing bad people, you know, or killing nameless people.
Do you know what's really funny? All the people that named their kids Dany.
Oh yeah.
Khaleesi.
Yeah, in the last 5 years.
I read one article and it was an actual mother who'd named her child Khaleesi, and she was just like, "It's so bittersweet. I haven't been able to call her by her name since Sunday." And I was like,
really?
Jesus Christ!
Well, you basically just called your child Queen, anyways, because it's not Daenerys' name. So
yeah. Well, what are they going? How are they going to explain that? Like, oh, who'd you name me Dany after? Dany Dyer. Yeah. You don't have to bullshit. Like, you have to think of excuses.
It's like
now.
meeting Fred West and being like, Fred, that'd be a good name. That'd be a good name. And then later on finding out that he molested a bunch of fucking kids and killed them.
Okay, so let's talk a bit more about the nurse, because that's the big thing in this question. A lot of people are giving out because they're saying they didn't see it coming, they didn't believe it because the bells obviously rang. She had won, so why would she need to go after everyone and burn innocents? A lot of people are taking issue with this. If you see my Twitter, I accept it. I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. I think it was great. But this is out there, so what do people think on this? Was it unbelievable of her? Was there no character development up till then? Okay, we can believe she went mad, but was that a bit of a jump in the shark moment? What do people think? Phil's got something to say on this.
Okay, so here's my thing. Think about Dany's small council. Like, when she was back in Bravos and back through
Marine
all the Slavers Bay
over in
area.
Essos, yeah.
Right, who was she with? List them out there.
Jorah.
Dead.
Barris and Selmy.
Dead.
Fucking Missandei.
Dead.
I won't say Grey Worm because I know that you're trying to make a point of they've all been dead.
But
he wasn't there for all of it though, wasn't he?
But I think the people that she developed through, who she trusted the most in this world, have all died recently. Alright, recent enough. I think now her small council, she's with this dwarf who's also a Lannister, who she's confided in, but let's be honest, would you really trust him? 100%, down to the bare bones,
especially when
with
he's
your
made
life.
mistakes.
with your life.
No, he's talking about her behind her back.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Okay.
talking about treason.
But,
She's right
but
not
when
to.
you know that he's made mistakes, you have to start questioning,
Yeah.
is he making them on purpose?
She's right not to
Yeah.
trust him.
Who else are we talking about? Varys?
Well,
No,
again, same old.
one of the most untrustworthy lads in the whole of the Seven Kingdoms. Jon Snow.
Trustworthy, but not into incest. So they disagree on a fundamental.
You know
Yeah.
he's
Initially.
pure, but you also know ever since the news came out that he was
Aegon. It's not. Yeah, it's not the fact that
Aegon
he's. It's
Targaryen,
not
yeah.
the fact that Jon is in it. Like, it's not Jon's character. It's how people perceive Jon now. He's
it's
a
how
threat,
she perceives him now
Exactly,
as well. Though.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
It's like you have to remember, like she was maybe she's a little bit cuckoo all along, but she also had this very trusted small council which kept her in check.
Yeah.
Her new small council, on the other hand, like obviously the writers probably didn't go this in depth to it, but my whole opinion would be that like I'm now suddenly surrounded by 3 people who I don't really trust and don't think are actually in my best interest or have my best interest in their hearts. And to be honest, like she probably just decided when she was on that dragon, just like a lot of shit's gone down. I'm just gonna burn this place down. I really don't care about for the rest of them. Like,
To me, how I viewed that decision was the bells rang. And why was that important? Because Tyrion said it to her. And she's had Tyrion try to temper her impulses, but because she's listened to Tyrion, she's failed time and time again. So when the bells rang, she's like thinking, all right, you probably shouldn't do anything because Tyrion said. Wait, Tyrion said. Every time I listen to Tyrion, I fucking lose. No, I have this in hand now. I'm going to do what I want to do. And we saw, if you watched it previously on, they did a nice little recap of the things people have said to Dany, like, Olenna, you're a dragon, be a dragon, the things that are playing on her mind. And she's thinking this, she's like, no, I'm going to do what feels right. Dany is an instinct player, and Dany's been at her best when she's going with her good. She's like, I should probably get into that fire. And then everyone's like, no, you're going to die. And she's like, no, now I have 3 dragons. Like, I'm gonna try burn these cows alive and stand here while everyone burns. No, I'm actually... And it's like, no, that's a stupid plan. She's like, no, I got this. Dany has done her best work when she's gone with her own instincts. So she's thinking about, should I listen to Tyrion now? And she's like, no, fuck it. This is what my gut is telling me is the right thing to do. And also as well, like, look at what Dany's power base would have been if she hadn't ruled through fear. Like, it's a smart political move. I'm not saying it's the right move, but it's a smart political move to rule through fear because, as well, like, she has these people that she doesn't trust behind them. And she has people, she has small town folk who aren't necessarily loyal to her either. So she doesn't have a strong power base. She could be vulnerable. She feels vulnerable and she feels alone. So I totally accept her decision to make that because it's like, if everyone's afraid of me because they're like, she's going to burn the fuck out of me if I say anything wrong, I all of a sudden have a power base. So we might like it. It's not pleasant to watch. It's not supposed to be. It's a heel turn. We're supposed to feel pissed off, like. But I'm fine with that decision. Is anyone not fine with the decision? Anyone against it? Like,
No, it's perfect. Like, her turning heel, like,
Yeah.
her going on, like, yeah, it's coming for fucking, for years. It's been coming, like.
it's bothering me, people being like, the character development. There's no character development. She wouldn't act that way. And it's like, yeah, she wouldn't act that way. It's almost as if her character is developing.
Yes.
like this, the whole thing when we talk about like grey heels throughout, like when you talk about the MCU, why Thanos was so good because he was a justified heel.
Yeah.
Like he was not the bad guy in his mind.
Yeah.
She is not the bad guy in her mind. Us looking at it from an outside the box, we're looking at this world that we're not really involved in. We're like, oh no, she's just burned 1 million civilians, or give or take. So she's a bad person. But in her mind, with the way things were going, no, I had to do this to rule because, like you're saying, the alternative is listen to Tyrion. Oh, you need to get the house's support. The houses will support you. But, like, I'd be also like, no, like, the houses
I've got me a dragon.
The houses will invite me into one of their weddings and slip my shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
doesn't know about the red wedding, but, like,
Yeah.
I don't want their support. I want their fear. That's what she's thinking now. Like,
And she's already really had that with the Masters. Oh, not the Masters. Where were they? Quart?
Quark, yeah.
Yeah.
Where, like, she was like, oh, yeah, took us all in. They all had an interior motive and tried to do her in the end.
That's
But-
a really good point. The character, yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. She's already been burnt by those people. Everything she's done in every city has been a different...
Yeah, no, you're
right.
You're
You're
right. Like, she's had a different approach and different problems through different ways she's taken control.
Yeah.
She's here.
Yeah.
She can win it this way, or she can risk it by trying to win it another way.
Yeah.
Like it's
And going with her gut has served her well in the past. And whether we like it or not, she broke the wheel. She did break the wheel.
Yeah.
She's broken the will already, though. I think she just went mad. She had it won. Tyrion didn't tell her anything about. He asked her, "You give me that." He wasn't saying, "If the bells ring, surrender. Don't keep attacking them." He just asked because he's afraid of her, which he already admitted. I think she just was up on, and it's fair because the other Targaryen, the Mad King, he went mad. So it could easily be just that she just went mad.
Yeah.
But this is
She's grieving. She's lost 2 of her children.
Yeah.
So she's
lost 2 dragons. She's lost Missandei. It's Phil is saying, like, you just think about all the people that's died, like even just recently, but then throughout the time. But like, if we go down and like my biggest fucking grievance with all these people giving out is it's when I hear people saying like, that came out of nowhere.
No,
it's like if you read the fucking back of a fucking George R.R. Martin book, it tells you that Targaryens are all lunatics. It says it. Yeah. It says that they're all fucking lunatics.
She's inbred as well. Like,
she's inbred as fuck.
Yeah.
Like she's a fucking. There's definitely like 5 or 6 extra dragon chromosomes bet into her fucking skull, and we're all wondering like, oh, why did this fucking webbed-footed fucking lunatic go and burn down the city? Because her fucking father was her fucking cousin. This is like when we talk about how Varys makes that point. That's a well-known phrase in Westeros.
Cersei said it years back.
Yeah, years back. That when a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin and Westeros holds its breath. It's like, well then, why are you all so surprised that this person? The surprise for me that Dany was so good for so long.
Yeah.
She got fucking sold by her brother. She fucking was abused by him. She was like, fucking, she got harried by a fucking Dothraki fucking lord, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. There's like absolutely so many fucking foul things happened to her in the early days. She kept her shit together fairly fucking well. If those dragons didn't come along at the time they came along, she'd be like fucking cigarettes in a prison. And for those Dothraki, she'd be getting passed around and fucking murdered at the end. So like, but for the grace of fucking whatever fucking gods you believe in Westeros, has survived and has done fairly well and is fairly level-headed. Like, when it comes down to it, and all this shit goes and hits the fan, and there's fucking, she ends up flipping the lid, and everybody's like, duh, I didn't see that coming. Really? Really? The girl that was 13 and fucking sold into fucking the Dothraki hordes, the girl that survived fucking the House of the Undying and fucking Cart, she fucking freed all these slaves, and then the masters came and tried to kill her, and then, like, there's so much shit that's happened to fucking Dany.
Has been saying for years as well, I will burn cities to the ground. And it's like, relax, Dany, they'll get your drink in a second. Yeah. No, I'll burn cities to the... It's grand.
Was there not a dream sequence? I don't know, where she was walking through the throne room.
Yeah, this is the House of the Undying. She sees it in ashes.
Yeah.
She says she doesn't want to be the Queen of Ashes. So then everybody is like, well, then she's not going to be. But that's foreshadowing that she is going to be.
It's throwing you off as well. Yeah. And this is the thing as well. So I think people as well are like, they didn't build us up. What did you want to see? Did you want to see Dany be like, I think I'm going to burn the city tomorrow? No, it was a fucking surprise. It's a heel turn. It's supposed to be surprising. It's supposed to be like, oh shit, you're supposed to get that reaction with a heel turn, like where you don't
like one big left turn. They should have turned fucking right 4 times so I can get to the same place.
I didn't know this was happening, like, so therefore it's wrong. No, it's just a twist. It's just a twist.
Can we talk about King's Landing?
Yes, we can.
Is this still a thing?
How do you mean?
Like, when we go to the new episode now on
it's
Sunday,
leveled by the looks of it.
Like, are we based there? Like, do you reckon there's been a part of it that's been saved? Or do you reckon they've just like, okay, well, that's dust. Are we in Winterfell now?
I think it might. I feel like it's going to open in Dragonstone and be super awkward. Like, I think Dany's going to be in Dragonstone and everyone's going to be really quiet, being like, so that happened.
She's like,
they all woke up from a session the night before.
That went well. I thought that went well.
No.
if Dany's not there, I don't think she'd be there at the start.
There's a couple of spoilers in the ads.
Oh,
Not
Don't
spoilers.
say-
Not
No,
spoilers.
no.
They're not
I-
not
spoilers.
spoilers if they're
They're-
I haven't seen
I
them.
deliberately try not
I haven't
to
seen
watch
them though.
We won't say anything about the trailer, but like, yeah.
What I find so interesting about thinking about this is like the first few episodes of season 1 where Robert Baratheon wants to kill her as a baby
Yeah.
Yes.
and wants to send like people over to kill her because he's like, what's one life over the thousands that she is going to murder when she comes over and
Is that why you not? Isn't that the reason though you stopped watching Game of Thrones originally?
No, I stopped watching because they cut babies in half.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this actually? Katie Harvey's contribution to the show. So I'm sure I haven't listened to it the last few weeks, but I'm sure she's probably touched on that. She only started watching it like in, what was it, April?
January.
Because she fell and no one caught her, and she had
Do you
to watch
know,
it 'cause she had nothing
like-
to do.
That is actually what happened.
I've been watching this since the get-go, or near enough to, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to get her into it for years. I mean years, right? Do you know she woke up, right? Everyone remembers like the Red Viper getting his head, Oberyn getting his head crushed. Like, she was asleep on the couch that. She wouldn't get into Thrones because she said she watched the first episode, watched the first 15 minutes of it and didn't like it. And because everyone was talking about it, made her even more
Do you think she only
made her
pretends to
even
like
more determined not to watch it.
it? Do you think she only pretends to like it now to fit in?
No, I love it now.
Can we call her
It's my
mic, please?
life.
I watched Oberyn. Now here's I know we're going a bit backwards, but like
No, go for it.
I watched
This is what we do.
I watched Oberyn, right? And I swear to God, I thought he was the next hero. I thought he was the next Robb
Yeah.
Stark. I thought he's the one that's gonna mess up these Lannisters. And I was fully convinced he was going to win that. Because how could he not win it? Because, like, he's fighting for Tyrion. Like, if he loses, Tyrion loses. Like, so they're not going to kill Tyrion. Like, he's going to get him. And, of course, as we all know, he does get him. And fair enough, I'm watching it there and I'm, like, betting to him. I'm on the edge of the seat stuff. Like, she's asleep. Right? I wake up. She wakes up for like the last 10 seconds, like our last little bit of the scene, right? Slit show, your man takes him over, punches the teeth out, crushes his skull. I'm sitting there with my jaw on my knees, like it's just, I'm gobsmacked. I don't even know how to talk. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning or something like this. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my life anymore. Like. And she's just like, what's the matter with you? It's just a show.
This is why we kept it to the second last episode. This is when the big twists happen. Love Phil.
Star swipe to like
I love
4
it
years
now.
later.
I love it now. It just took breaking both my arms and being unable to change the channel.
This is when you're injured and you can't do anything and you have to just watch what's on. Like nowadays they have like there's all the television in the world. You could have chose anything. You chose well with Game of Thrones. For me, I didn't have like the fucking stream ability. Like what was my 2003? So like I ended up having to watch like just shit TV, and
Ren
I got
and Stimpy.
like honestly every day, right? Every day. What used to come on? Yeah, Ren and Stimpy is great. What's wrong with you?
I was just thinking of 2003 shows.
Oh, right, yeah, I get you. So 2003, I'll tell you exactly. It was reruns of Angel. Great fucking show, by the way. I would never have watched that. Like, I've never watched one single episode of Buffy. I know inside and out about fucking Angel, Cordelia, Spike, all those guys. Hope, great girl. I wonder what she's doing in Buffy. But and also I ended up watching fucking Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And you'd imagine like, oh, you'd watch a little bit of Star Trek and then maybe you'll watch some more. I watched Next Generation, then I watched Voyager, then I just went back through every single one of them because breaking my neck made me forced to watch television, like, so now I'm a Trekkie because of it.
It works, yeah, it works out. Or maybe what we're learning is it's just that people are like, when you're injured, you'll like anything.
Yeah,
because you've nothing better to
Have
do.
I told you the surgery story?
No.
So I was really scared about surgery. I'm really, really scared about being put under an anesthetic. And like to rationalize it to myself so I would stop having panic attacks, I watched the first 7 episodes of Game of Thrones season 1, and I refused to watch the last 3 until I woke up from surgery. And I'm not joking, when I got wheeled to theatre, all I kept whispering to myself was, I have to watch Game of Thrones when I get back, because I am going to come back, because I am going to watch Game of Thrones. And that is literally my train of thought going into surgery to calm myself down.
You were like, I
thinking
have
about
as much
Game of Thrones, like
I have as much chance of dying as Ned does here. It's grand. I'm fine. I'm the main character. You can't do it to me.
I can handle my milk of the poppy.
I would have rathered Ned survive. If
Right, we're going to have a poll tomorrow. Who would you rather survive? Hashtag low blows on
that's
Twitter.
fair.
It's an interesting question, right? I'm just saying. No, I'm not going to put that online. Don't worry. Okay, let's talk about another interesting character decision. Jaime and Cersei dying together. A lot of people were upset.
They're not dead.
Okay,
Yeah, this is- yeah.
right. I'm interested. A lot of people are upset with this. Jaime going off on Brienne, and then as well the fact that they made it. It was kind of sweet, like it was kind of nice in a weird.
It was
way.
the best double turn I've ever seen, like turning Cersei face and
I don't
Dany
think they
healing
turned her
was like,
face.
No, either do I.
Ah, I cried like a fucking baby when
I
she
think,
died.
but like again, it's like what I was talking about the last time I was here when I was giving out to you about being so fucking this character's black and white and this character. Of course, she'd go into the fucking black and white talk, so racist. But I'm talking about having how characters would have shades of grey and stuff like that. And when it came to this time around, like I don't think Cersei turned face. If anything, the only reason I felt sorry for her was because she became pathetic at the end, which isn't really a trait that I would say is a good person's trait. Like,
And
she
it's fair
seemed-
enough that she turned like that.
Of course, yeah. Like she's facing her own mortality. Like there's a fucking dragon flying around the Red Keep, and she's watching like fucking the whole place fall down around her. Of course, she's gonna get scared. But she turned into a fucking please don't let me die.
Yeah.
She used the child as like a shield for herself. You know what I mean? Like,
But she literally said that. She goes, "I don't want to
But see,
die."
Yeah.
that's why that's a face turn to me. Like, by the end of it, I wanted someone to take Dany down, and I wanted Cersei to live, because I'm like, Cersei wouldn't treat those people the way she has. Now,
You're
I
an
know she
idiot.
blew up half
the way the
city.
Lannister,
You are an idiot.
Right? Okay, maybe
No,
Cersei is a bit fair, but we definitely felt that way for the Lannister army. Like when they threw down their swords,
Yeah, I
and then
felt
when
bad for
everyone
them.
starts attacking them, it's
Yeah.
like, oh fuck, man, come on,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Like it
that's
was
Ed Sheeran. That's one of the great songwriters of our time. Come on.
Like, it was
Kill
a complete
Sharon.
squash, and like I was completely turned by the end of it. Like
Yeah.
I
So
wanted.
you were like rooting for Cersei by the end of that.
yeah.
You're so flip
I
flop.
don't know. I think there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people that were like, wishy-washy would be the word.
Wait, what did I say?
No, flip-floppy. That's grand.
Yeah.
It works.
It's all the same.
You're.
But I
I'm
don't.
not going to say anything because it's going to be so heavily edited.
I think it's weird that we do have that. I think if we got Arya killing Cersei, people would have been like, yeah, Arya, and like you got your just desserts to Cersei. But I think they manufactured this in a way that we weren't saying, now Cersei, you got your just desserts. It's where, and I don't think they meant us to feel hollow or anything like that, but I think they constructed this in a way so that we kind of feel like, oh, she's only human.
Well, see, like I'm delighted
after all.
Arya didn't kill her, because at the end of the day, like Cersei's pregnant, and that's stabbing a pregnant lady. I remember the
Yeah.
uproar when that happened to Talisa at the Red Wedding. Like
Yeah.
it is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it is just.
You're also killing a child. But
Yeah.
it would have been interesting because Arya wouldn't have known that. So it would have been something, but at
Is
the
it
same
not?
time, yeah.
Is it not like just common knowledge now that she's pregnant?
Maybe Tyrion could have told, but
Yeah.
I don't think he
But
did.
why would Arya be having that conversation?
Arya
I
wouldn't have been
suppose?
there, yeah. This is it. Like, so, no, I want to hear this theory. Jaime and Cersei aren't dead.
I just don't think they're dead.
It's not a theory. He just thinks that when a city falls on you, that you just get up and dust yourself off because he's a fucking idiot.
I don't think everything fell on them. I think a few.
Showed it.
I think
Like,
it
one
got
brick
dusty.
could do you in, though, like.
Yeah, but he got stabbed twice. They're not like are they going to stab him twice and then just kill him like that?
Yeah.
Yes, they stabbed him twice so that he'd get to where he's
I don't
going.
think he's dead. I don't think either of them are dead. I think they're going to be.
You know,
in the next
both
episode.
both actors posted on the Instagram afterwards that they were dead.
See, I don't watch my TV through social media. Like, if they are
Probably
dead,
should though. Seeing as you came in with that fucking take.
If they're dead, then fair enough. I'll be disappointed that they're dead. But I'm going to spoil it for myself.
You're gonna
Next week,
just done it for me.
I don't think Jaime and Cersei being dead is a spoiler. To be
Yeah,
fair.
it's not.
I don't think they're dead.
next week, like it's gonna be like Sam's like, and that was the song of Ice and Fire, and B's gonna be sitting there like, no, you just win, you win. They're coming back now.
I really
It's like
hope.
Sam's grey, dude. They're dead. Like Sam is literally grey.
I just hope that like while B is at the edge of a seat waiting for fucking Cersei and for Jaime to come back in, that Ned Stark just walks in and goes, "What have I missed?"
They shouts up the shark. Yeah, I was a big fan of this as well. What like people are giving out because it's like we didn't get the Volunteer prophecy.
His hands were around
We
her neck.
did. Cersei was crying. Her brother's hands were around her neck, and the life was choked
But
out
they're
of her.
riding, like. You know what I mean? They've rode. What's so about
No,
that?
but hang on.
What's
Game
cute
of
about
Thrones fucks you up because that doesn't bother me. Like the
Yeah, but
fact
you're
that they're
from
riding now. I walked into
But also, yeah, the life was choked out of her, except by the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: what do we know about prophecy? We were expecting it, but they've literally told us prophecy is a half-trained mule.
Yeah.
You can't trust it; it kicks you in the face. Like that's the thing. So it did end up happening. I also like Jay. You got me on side for Jaime's character arc last week when it's like, okay, yeah, I can actually see why Jaime would go back to Cersei, especially when you consider like he's in Winterfell when all this is happening. Like every time he goes out like with Brienne and it's like, what do we do today? And it's like, shall we go for a walk on the battlements? Again, okay, yeah, let's just walk the battlements. And it's just like, but then he walks out and he sees the kid he's crippled. Like straight away, just standing there, still staring at him in the wheelchair.
You say that kid in the wheelchair just standing there.
Yeah, well, fair point, fair
Don't be so
point.
pedantic.
You know what genuinely happened to me in work earlier? I was on reception duty and a blind guy was leaving the gym and I went, "I'll see you later, Robert." Oh shit! And like he did.
Yeah, but you didn't
It's the
say
oh
you'll see
shit.
me later, Robert.
That's not the worst.
Oh
works.
shit! Actually, got the part that got you in trouble there.
Yeah, because he just turned his whole body in my direction, and I was just like, "Oh, I don't apologize. You'll make it worse." Just like
That's not
What
the
you
worst.
do then?
If he said, "Hear you later," that would have been.
That's not the
What
worst
you do
story
then
you've
is you
told me, though,
move, and he's not
from work. Remember you worked in a sweet factory, and you told me you sneezed blood all over the sweets.
Jesus, tell me you lost your job.
Yeah, but I threw those in the bin.
You told me you did.
That's bullshit.
I did.
That was left
I
out
would-
of the story.
I would not.
I said,
would
"What did you
not
do?" And you
send them out
said,
to
"I
customers.
sealed them up and I sent them on the way, baby."
Yeah,
That's what you
because
said
I
to
am
me.
known for calling people baby. Yeah.
This was during
2012.
Yeah.
2012. That was
Right,
during her
it's-
Scott Hall phase.
It's B25 KD1 there. So, all right, you're coming back slowly but surely. But anyway, Jaime Cersei, I was thinking about this as well. Like, would
I'm raging. I'm after
You'd
letting people
go for
know that I
Cersei.
think they're alive.
Yeah, because
I'm raging.
like I said to you on the car on the way up here, don't say that.
here's the thing
on
though:
air.
if you're right, you're a fucking hero.
Yeah,
Do you know
that's
what I
true.
mean? If
But
you're
so-
right, you're a legend. If you're wrong, people will forget it within like 5 years. So if you're right, you're a legend though. But like, Jaime, I was thinking about this. I'd probably pick Cersei too, if I'm being honest. Like, nothing against Brienne, like, but it'd be boring. It's like, we're gonna walk the battlements again. Oh, like Brienne as well, like, you know, she's got the whole virgin thing, and like people like in their heads are like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, she's probably shy. Like, the Scottish spade is spade.
Shite.
She's probably not good at
Like, maybe I don't.
Cersei be into mad shit, like.
I don't want to. Yeah, well, of course she would be. Like, fucking.
She's into her brother, so.
She's zero boundaries.
But the thing with Brienne is that like it's a novelty, and it's probably been the novelty for Jaime. Like, I'd love to climb up on a fucking big Amazonian as well, but I don't know if I want to fucking come home every night to someone who's going to be able to literally kick the fuck out of me. Like my missus now could probably take me in a fight, but Brienne would fucking maul me for leaving a cup off a coaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this
It's
is
like-
it. This is it. You know what I mean? If you're, it's like going out with, say, the likes of Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You want to be able to think like, oh, I'll protect you. But Jamie's like, I've got one hand. You're protecting me. You know what I mean? Whereas with
You
Cersei,
wouldn't like imagine she came in like some like dusty fucking like armor, and you went, "Oh, you're going out in that?" Imagine her response.
She'd beat the fuck out of you. Like.
Does my Oathbreaker look big in this? Yeah, a little bit. Like
you can never put a foot wrong with Brienne because she could kick the fuck out of you. This is it. You know, well, Cersei will murder you, but like that's kinky. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, oh, how's she gonna do it?
Cersei's got that crazy chick vibe. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I get it. Maybe that's just me. I'm just saying, I get it. Right?
I feel like we've now opened into your psyche of like.
Let's move on to Arya.
Barry looked really upset all the way through that.
Yeah, let's move on to more women you want to ride from the
I did not say that. The only thing I have down here is Arya. You're after framing
now
it.
Let's move on to Arya. I'm just waiting to
You're
get in.
framing it. Arya's in front of me. That's not what I meant. He said that. Right, okay. A lot of people also upset with Arya's kind of decision here, moving away from the list. She's like literally, Cersei's around the next corner. If she'd have just waited, Cersei and the Mountain, the last two on her list, a lot of people upset with that. How do we feel about that, Arya?
The Mountain wasn't Arya's to kill. I know he was on her list, but he wasn't hers to kill, so I'm not upset with that at all.
Oh, I'm not upset. I don't think she was even going to kill the Mountain. I think like she was
She'd
obviously
agreed,
she was palled up with Clegane because like you take the Mountain, I'll take the fucking Queen. That's the way it was going to be.
Oh, little side note, absolutely love that she called him
Sandor.
That was so cute. Sandor, yeah, lovely.
But what did we think of her decision to abandon the list? Because people are going mad about
I was
this.
fine with it because at the end of the day, like she kind of there was a moment during the Battle of Winterfell she bottled it. Like, she doesn't want to die. She's a young girl with her whole life ahead of her, and she's this amazing skill set now that she can make use of. I'm fine with her, like, running to live another day. Well, maybe bottled it is too strong, but you know what I mean? Like,
there was fear
of dying.
Yeah, there was definitely fear.
She doesn't
there,
want to die, like, and that's okay. That's fine to want to make it out and like have a life.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So I'm fine with her not going in after Cersei.
You weren't happy with this decision.
Yeah, she kind of bitched out, didn't she? From season 1, she was going on that she's going to kill your one that's looking out the window, and then she didn't.
It's like when I call out Twitter all the time, and when I call out Walter on Twitter all the time, and like, you know, if I actually had to fight Walter, I'd be like, I count out maybe.
This happened. Yeah, no, but like, does she not get extra points? Like, she killed the Night King. You know what I mean? You'd be like, you know what? I kind of don't need to kill anyone else. I don't need to kill that little Freya queen now.
Stop going on about it.
But like with Arya, we see all the time. There's vulnerability, then there's a warrior, then there's vulnerability, then there's a warrior, and
in this episode,
especially. So like it always does it. Like it's when she was at first when she goes to King's Landing. She is vulnerable because she's in a new place and she doesn't like it. Sansa really did like it. Then they get Syrio and she starts to learn how to sword fight, and then she's not vulnerable anymore. And then her dad gets head chopped off and she's vulnerable as fuck. And then she's on the King's Road and she's vulnerable as a bastard. And when she finally fucking ends up standing up for herself and beating up fucking one of the dudes, now she's a warrior. So it's always going like, and that's just the earliest time. Like, you've got another 7 seasons in between.
Oh yeah,
there.
I thought you were going to list them.
I'm not going to do them all. You've got another 7 seasons in there of where it's actually happened. Like when you go up to the Waif, and she was fucking badass before going into the House of Black and White, and then the Waif made her feel vulnerable again, and she was like, little fucking bitch.
Yeah.
And then she walks out there like a boss. And then even what Katie was saying at the Battle of Winterfell, same thing. She's a fucking boss. She's beaten, loses her weapon. Now she's inside, oh fuck, vulnerable. And then she becomes a fucking badass again. And then she's vulnerable, sitting in the room. And she has to be protected by Beric, the fucking Barricade Dondarrion, as your joke was from that episode. Still remembering that. Fucking brilliant. And then she becomes the ultimate badass when she kills the Night King. And then we've got this episode. She's the ultimate fucking badass because she's walking like fucking. She's got her Arya dick swinging like she is fucking.
That was awesome. Her and the Helm just walking into the city. Oh, that was class. I was like fucking.
I'm gonna have to get my captain. Go get him then, and then they just walk through him. And like it's badass. And then when they get there, she is badass until fucking Sandor Clegane fucking stops her and says, "Listen, you've got me this far. Like, if you go any further, you're gonna die." And then you see it. You see the vulnerability. She looks up, she looks around, and the whole fucking place is quaking and shaking, and it's coming down around her. And she shows fear, she shows vulnerability, and she goes, you know what, you're right. And she makes the right decision. She gets the fuck out. And then, boom, then it's a whole episode. And again, I want to point out that in something that I loved about this episode was Arya running through the streets of Flea Bottom. Yeah. When I read the first book, I didn't get through book number 2, or the Westerosi phone book, as I call it. Just so many fucking names to remember. But when I read the book, there was a lot of stuff of her. I always found her chapters went really fucking fast because she was always running, and it was always like fucking. You can nearly feel it in your chest, like fucking. She's always running, or she's always doing this, and she's always just sliding under something and jumping over something. And there's always a sense of urgency through her chapters and her scenes in the television as well. Like when you go back to the Waif and you go back to King's Road and you go back to all these little things that happen to her, she's always running. She's always running. There's always like this fucking what's going to happen? Is the thing going to catch her? Is she going to catch the thing? And in this episode, it was brought to. They made it such a confined episode, even though they're out in the open of King's Landing. They made the walls really high.
Talk about her losing her virginity, like how rushed that was. You know what I mean? But like that's why people got pissed. I think people got that pissed off though as well. You're saying about it's rushed, but that was very rushed. But it was,
no. I'm saying that I like the fact not that it's written rushed.
That's what I mean. Like that's her character. Like
she bowls into it. It goes head first.
You don't get the feeling that like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get to that tomorrow.
Yes, I get you.
No, like
she makes a decision. She goes for it.
Yeah. It's not like I'm not gonna wait to be rude. We're having sex. And that's it.
Yes, excellent. Yes.
To use that for one example.
It's a really good example as well. But that's what I mean by the Arya stuff. I really liked that, and I really liked the fact that when it showed like the game ball was happening and then her struggle was happening, and it's one of those you're like you feel like you're trapped. You feel like you're in a little box when she's getting trampled on. You're like you feel like you're getting trampled on, and I love. I love her scenes. I love all of them, and I love the way she flip flops like that from vulnerable to warrior, and we saw it more than fucking we'll ever see it. I think in the last episode.
Here's how I viewed the Arya story. A central theme, probably the central theme of this whole story, is having to choose what identity you want to be. Do you want to be Ice or Fire? Do you want to be Targaryen or a Stark? Do you want to be a Greyjoy or a Stark? Do you want to be the Queen of Ashes or the Breaker of Chains? Here's how I view Arya. I'm Arya Stark and I'm going home. She's had to make this decision so many times. The House of Black and White. Is she going to be no one? Or is she going to be Arya Stark? Like, literally, Kyber...
They asked the question.
Yeah, Jaqen turns around and he's like, oh, you're no one now. And she's like, no, I'm Arya Stark. When she runs into Hot Boy, when she's like, I've got nothing left to live for except to finish my list now. And she runs into Hot Boy and she's like, no, Jon took back Winterfell. Instead of being that cold-blooded killer, because you remember she was going insane in that scene. She's just eating everything. She just did nothing behind her eyes, and then she comes alive and decides to be Arya Stark again. The Hound turned around and he's like, look at me. This is what the decision to be no one and a cold-blooded killer will be. I am the end result of that, because I've lived my life trying to get revenge against my brother. Do you want to be that? He asked her out straight, and she, every time she's asked this question, she decides, I'm Arya Stark, I'm going home. And that's exactly what she tried to do. Yeah. And I thought that's why I had no problem with it. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. But people are going mad about it. But anyway, look, that's that. Well, anyway, look, is there anything we didn't like from the episodes? And like, it is the worst reviewed episode of Game of Thrones of all time, which is annoying.
Like, this is on a wrestling podcast show.
Yeah.
We all get have we mentioned a reference to it to Austin Bret Hart?
No, go.
No, this is very good though. I love where this is going.
Like, have we not mentioned that like Cersei was the ultimate heel going into it? And
the double turn.
And Dany was like this.
Katie
like,
has mentioned the double turn.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing, like when people are giving out about it, like, but I can't see why any wrestling fan would give out about it, because what you've seen there in a bell to bell.
Yeah, bell to bell. Bells to bells.
Who went face though? If she went heel, who went face?
Cersei went face.
She didn't go face.
Oh, do you not have sympathy for Cersei at the end?
No.
I had big sympathy. It's the first time ever I had sympathy for Cersei. I had no sympathy for her for the whole thing. I
felt that she was more like she still wasn't likable there. She was pathetic. So I think like you're feeling sorry for circumstance there rather than person.
I think it was also the fact that Dany was like killing a load of civilians. Like Dany's gone too far now. Like But
they were like they used the juxtaposition there.
I'm like, she was proper, like, she was getting me. Like, I watch wrestling matches where heels, like Austin got a face turn. Yeah. Austin didn't come out and say, you know what, I love Baltimore or whatever happened. Like, you know, he didn't cut a face promo at the start of the match or a face promo at the end of it. Yeah. He got sympathy. He went out there and played the heel all the way through it.
He's the same.
Got bloodied and got put into a sharpshooter and passed out. And everyone loved him after. It was like...
That's a really good point.
It is true.
The sympathy factor of it all.
Cersei was still the same person, like Austin, when she went into that. She was still the same person afterwards, but somehow the circumstances had moved and made us feel differently about her, which is a masterstroke from Game of Thrones. That's why I don't get it.
It was so good.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk about from a director's point of view, I'm so blown away with the whole episode.
You made a really good point with the bell-to-bell thing as well, because they have made these episodes, like, obviously you have to follow the story, but they are self-contained fucking features. Like, they go on for like an hour to an hour and a half, and when you watch them, I feel like I've watched a fucking film. Like I watched a movie. You know what I mean? And I know every like fucking online, you've got all that hate about like, well, maybe this should have fucking had 10 episodes this season, and like I don't know. I love the big epic feel of the episodes that are a little bit longer. Like
to me, it has to be. Like, a Game of Thrones has to be like 6 kind of movies. I'm into that. I'm okay with that. If I'm being perfectly honest, like, so I don't know, but I do get. Is there anything that we didn't like in this episode though? That is like, I feel like we should do it justice because we're marking out for it, but like a lot of people out there don't like it. So was there anything in particular you didn't?
Like, I love the episode, so this is so small and so nitpicky, right? But you remember when Jaime's like trying to get into the city and the door's shut?
Yeah. He's waving his hand around and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he just goes down an alley and he's in the city and like he finds a way in. But like, how is it? Well, no, hang on. He doesn't go there.
He went to the beach.
Yeah, but he finds a different way in. Like, are you telling me no one else knows this?
It's because that Tyrion told him.
So no one else knows about that beach.
That's Tyrion's horror kind of section.
That was it was
Tyrion. That whole alleyway you would only know if you came from the Red Keep. So anyone in Fleabottom would not know about that passageway.
The reason.
Okay, then there was nothing I hated about the episode.
It's worth explaining for anyone else who doesn't know. The reason he knows that is because that's where Tyrion came out when Jaime freed him.
Yeah.
So
Tyrion knew there was a dinghy there.
Yeah.
So
because Davos, he talked to Davos. He said you're the best smuggler in the world.
Oh,
oh my sweet lamb of Jesus.
All right, okay. Sorry, I get it now. No.
Do we need to mansplain this for you?
Well, you have mansplained every other point I made straight after, so go ahead.
There was like one time I did that and I was actually
you
not
just did it with the double turn.
mansplaining.
He was at the bar when I said about the double turn.
He didn't know.
He wasn't here.
He were all like, no, you're wrong. And then he said, you're like, oh my God, Phil and your wrestling.
Did he?
Yeah, because he explained it. Yeah, he explained it with Austin.
Did he? Oh, wait, I'm feeling we're going to listen back and I'm feeling tomorrow I'm going to hear this as like, she's right, yeah. We did do that.
See, I understand wrestling. I understand, like...
And you know why you understand
it,
guys, Phil, do you know why you understand
it? Any chance of the OTT booking or what?
Could it?
Phil, do you know why you understand it though as well? Because you're a man. We understand these things.
A little bit of Katie's soul just escaped out one of
us. I'm also a betting man, right?
Okay.
And pre-episode, obviously I'm coming up with my own, like, no, this is going to happen because I'm going to make an educated guess and I'm going to make a bet on it. I thought Arya was gonna for that episode. I thought...
Which? This one?
This one, yeah. I was going into the episode thinking...
Really?
If I was going to rewrite that episode, I thought, there's the Hound and Arya going on. Arya's just killed the Night King. She's badass. Like,
she gets Qyburned out of it.
She's got one other person on her list. She's got Cersei. She is going to mess Cersei up. And I says, no, that's where the swerve happens. Cersei's going to kill Arya. I actually thought that going into it. So you imagine me, getting the I'm like, here we go. Prove me right, Cersei. Prove me right. So I'm expecting Arya. She's going to meet her end of Cersei. It's going to be one of these things where you don't think Cersei's going to kill her, and Cersei kills her. All right. What else did I expect from that episode? Who else was a big thing? Was it just Arya, or what else happened in that episode?
Was it just Arya?
It was just Arya.
Arya's big thing really threw me though at the start. Oh, that was the whole thing. It was like, I didn't expect I didn't expect the squash match to start at the start. I thought it was going to be...
Oh, yeah. No, I love that, though.
I thought it was going to be a struggle, Golden Company, like we talked about earlier on.
Brilliant.
I thought it was going to be a real struggle, like outside the
I
sea
didn't.
sort of thing, and Arya would come in.
I didn't think it was going to be. Sorry to cut across you because Bronn said so. Bronn said that he's not fighting in that because he knows the dragons are going to win. The minute he saw the dragon, he's like, they're going to win. So I was like, okay, I'm think they're going to get hammered now.
To be fair, he is an absolute boss. Like, you think back to Blackwater and stuff, like, Bronn gets battles. Like, when he looks at it, that's a very good point. Like, when he looks at it and he's like, yeah, they're winning. It's not going to be close. Yeah, we probably should have taken that seriously. That's a very good shout. Like, yeah.
I legit thought it was going to be more. I didn't realise the squash match. And as the squash match happened, that's what really threw me. I says, this has gone... You know when you pre-think about something, you pre-think about wrestling matches as well. Like when you watch a match of John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and then everyone was all like, how deadly was that match when Brock Lesnar squashed John Cena? Because you didn't expect it.
Yeah.
Like you get 16, 18 German suplexes and bet him. Like, and you were like, everyone thought about it afterwards. You're like, boom, boom. Because everyone was expecting, maybe he'll kick out an FU, kick out an F5, this sort of thing. But that's not the way it happened in my head. And then when it all started going that way and Cersei started looking Carwyn, that's what that blew my mind with the whole episode. It was just the fact that I had this preconception going into it. Daenerys was the good person. Everyone in the Red Keep was the bad people. And it just flipped, and that's what got me like.
Isn't that, though, why we watch TV? And I think people are wound up about it because, like, Tony Kelly has been, like, agreeing with a lot of what I said on Twitter, making some great points himself, where he's like, people are pissed because what they wanted to happen didn't happen.
Yeah.
But isn't that why we watch television? Like, when we watch it to be wrong, we watch it to be so sure, and for the writers to think of something just a bit better. And we're like, fuck, how the fuck did we not think of that? It was right there. So that's why we watch it. Like,
this year, I stopped. Like, I've spoken to you. I've even been on Jerry's show, and the theories and the looking up shit is my favourite aspect of this. After the Battle of Winterfell, people started asking me, like, what do you think's going to happen next week? Don't know, don't care. I'm in it for the ride now, because I honestly couldn't, if I walked out in front of a bus now and I ended up as a fucking vegetable for the rest of my fucking days, I couldn't be dumber than what Game of Thrones is making me feel. Fucking right now, because my predictions are so off base. They're so, and when stuff happens, I go, duh, of course they've been setting this up, like Dany's turn. Like when everyone's like, I didn't see that coming, and I'm like, I should have saw it coming.
That's a good thing, though. But people are hating
coming is
on
the best.
People are hating on it for that reason, because it's like, I'm wrong, and I don't like being wrong. And it's like, do you know what? Yeah, maybe the millionaires who convinced George R. R. Martin, who wrote this story, who he said, I want to make a story that no one can ever adapt. But the people who are smart enough to convince him to make it into a TV show, maybe they're more qualified than you, sexy Twitter user 69. Maybe they're better at it than you are.
How'd you know my other handle?
Sorry, I was looking at you and I was like, oh, don't say it.
This is how oblivious to the books I am. What's your man's name? JJ
George R. R. Martin.
George R. R. Martin. Right. I really don't care about the books, right? And he's all like, well, the TV show's going in a way that I don't want the books. The books are not going to go that way.
Yeah, really good. You look the image of him.
I can tell you now, whatever he writes in that book, whatever he thinks in his very capable mind, it is going to pale in comparison to what they've done this season.
Oh, interesting.
This season is, so we're saying about it's the greatest show ever. I think this season has been brilliant.
Okay,
I really do, and I don't think whatever he's going to intentionally go against the TV show.
Yeah, he will.
And he's going to fail.
Yeah,
I don't think whatever he puts on, he will not be able to beat the TV show.
Interesting.
I don't know, like. Right, so I'm going to get back into the books, audio, by the way, because I've the attention span. Look at that. They'll just out me as illiterate, by the way.
That's why he gets in trouble on Twitter so much.
I just keep bashing the buttons if it makes sense to you.
Stupid autocorrect.
So like, I'm really looking forward to it because I want to experience the story fleshed out a bit, and I've said it, like when we talk about, like, I wish this series was longer, I wish it was 10 episodes and stuff, I legitimately wish we got 10 series, 10 episodes ago, and a big fucking red carpet movie at the end of it for the big finale. I wish all that happened. It didn't. So we're getting the version of Game of Thrones now that for the last 2 seasons have been right. Let's get the story done in 2 seasons. I understand that, and I understand stuff is being cut, and I understand. But I honestly, I will go to the books, because I want to see the fleshed out story. Plus, I love the fact that the books, that there's other characters in the books, and there's other people, and and I get you have some gripes with the books that were I know you enjoy the books, but you say to people it's not the fucking holy grail of fucking literature. It's he does make mistakes, or he does make some bad calls, or he does talk about stuff that's irrelevant to a story in a whole. He's just filling pages. But at the same time, I think I really want to read the books so that I get the fleshed out version of what could have been. I hope that this ending and the book's ending is similar. I do understand what you guys are saying, that he might just change it completely. But
see, it's a very
he said he won't.
Yeah, he's said that he gave them what happens, and that he's going to stick to it as well. So
see, he's also, the way he writes is he calls himself a gardener, not an architect. He doesn't make a big plan. We've spoken about this before. Like the original plot for Game of Thrones, it was supposed to be Jon, Arya, and Tyrion in a love triangle, and obviously that got very changed because what he does is, and it's a good way to write, but it's also he's running into the problems he's running in now. He doesn't plan things out. He just lets it fall where it happens.
Can we touch?
He does have the.
He's a general.
He has an overall layout,
but he changes. That may change.
The Bronn thing was actually an interesting one. What you said there.
He's a non-character in the books, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, no. It's sorry. It was Baz that was talking about. That he. It was a toss-up between 2 characters, was it?
It was a toss-up between Bronn and this other sellsword, and he just needed someone to get Tyrion out of. He didn't want Tyrion to die, so he wanted, and then he was thinking how can I write him out? But the character just kept developing.
So Bronn became out of necessity for a situation
and that's the way he writes. And as well, though, the books are very different. Like if you read the last 2 books, they're a different story. You can tie it all back to this the general kind of outline that we're at now, but they're 2 different stories essentially now. So it'll be very different, but it could be the same general direction. So we'll see anyway, and we may never know. So that's the big thing. Let's get on to this episode. Let's stick with it before we wrap it up. Are there any Easter eggs that we spotted in this show? Any little extra notes?
Someone on Twitter pointed out something really interesting, that Jon and Arya are wearing their hair the same way Ned did in season 1.
Yes,
and
very good.
They've become the 2 most like him.
Yeah.
Well, they all were.
Really cool.
It's always been said that they're the only 2 that look like Starks.
Yeah.
The rest of them look like Tullys.
I just think that's they always tell a story through hair, especially with Sansa and Daenerys as well. It's really cool. The other thing is the white horse theory. Have you seen? Or it's not even a theory. The white horse thing. People were posting passages from the Bible about death riding on a white horse, and Arya has all these ties to death, and mentions it so many times. The little girl who they keep referencing all the way through the end.
Yeah.
The little girl and the mother Arya keeps trying to save. Yeah. She's holding a little toy white horse all the way through. And then I
really hope it was Bran. I really do. I know there's.
I think that's bullshit.
Is it Harry
Strickland's
horse?
I think everything you said there is just bullshit.
Well, Phil told you to say that, so of course you're going to say it. I saw you whispering.
Yeah, but can we get through the skit that we were going to do, me and Phil?
But it's not bullshit, because I've just said factual things that happened in the show. There was a little girl holding a white horse.
Hold on. Just let it happen. Just let it happen, Kate. Don't fucking ruin it.
Cheers. The viewers are going to really love that.
Easter
eggs. I have an Easter egg.
Go on, go for it.
So I think that white horse is a biblical thing.
Oh wow!
Whoa!
Phil, that's amazing.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Holy shit!
The way you explain that is so.
That one has a horse, a little toy horse, and that's in the
she
Bible.
Fucking does.
Bible horse.
And I believe that's what killed Jesus.
No, the white horse in the story always symbolized who's good and pure. That's why Dany's first horse was a white horse.
Okay.
And now she doesn't have a white horse anymore. She's a dragon. And now Arya has a white horse.
I don't buy
it's all to do with the white horses.
Don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it.
It's all
I like the way Phil said it. Okay, just let jokes happen, will you, from now on?
I set up all your jokes.
She wanted Darby, by the way, if you're listening.
They'll know the score by the end of it. Another little note as well. Cersei went down at one stage and she's like, it's okay, the Red Keeper's never fallen. How did Cersei die?
Yeah, it fell on her.
It fell on her.
Only a few bricks.
She didn't die though. So.
A few bricks, that'd do it.
Edit all my
I reckon she's still alive.
Oh wow, you think she's still alive? Oh wow, that's such a good take.
So does Barry as well, yeah.
I have a thing that I don't think was an Easter egg. But I don't think they meant any of it. It's just well, maybe they did. But as I said before, when Dany was looking like she was kind of a heel and she was going mad or whatever, she looked the fucking image of Viserys as she was. Yeah. Also, when Euron was just looking at Jaime Lannister, they can't write this shit, but he looked the image of fucking Theon Greyjoy. Just as he was lying at the rock and he just got stabbed in the belly, and he looked the fucking image. And I think I don't know if it's just because
have we touched on that at all while I was away in the toilet?
Getting drunk in the toilet. The Euron stuff. No,
Can we touch on that battle at all?
No, not at all.
Can we all talk about?
No, wait. I want to go through one last. Someone looking like someone.
Go on.
You fucking douche. Right,
Such a professional show.
There was.
Why you would lash out at Barry like that? I would never know.
Do you remember when Arya's running through the streets and a guy stops her and says, "Have you seen my wife?"
Yeah.
Have a look at that guy again and tell me he's not fucking Gendry Baratheon's fucking stunt double. He is the fucking image of Gendry Baratheon, and he's looking for his wife.
Interesting.
That's yeah. I think that one's by design. I think Dany's one is by design. I don't think the Theon fucking Euron thing is by design, but it's still interesting.
He's his uncle.
He's his uncle, yeah.
Well,
I think it's just interesting that at a stage I said, wow, they got an actor who looked a lot like that actor.
Yeah, that's very good. The move that beat the Iron Fleet, a lot of people were giving out last week. It's like, how did Rhaegal get shot? Well, this is actually the move that Dany did.
He went above so that they couldn't reach, and he came from the sun.
Is the same move that won Aegon the Conqueror the Battle of Harrenhal. That's where they were melted in their castles. He flew up into the sun. So there's actually historical precedent for Dany doing it. And she's taking it from Targaryens as well. So
we talked about this watching it, and I was all like, well, the reason why they killed the second dragon, I'm not going to go good with names.
Yeah.
Go good with names. The reason they killed the second dragon is simply because Rhaegar did not know they were about to get shot with arrows.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a cove. There was a very convenient cove there that, again, we can talk about that, where that, and
but
it's
I mean,
did he
you can be a dick and nitpick.
But the reason for it is
anyone could shoot any of us on the street if we don't see it coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if you're flying, he's flying along, all of a sudden, oh look, lovely weather out today. Oh, I wonder if that seagull is particularly delicious. And then bam, he's getting like an arrow through the heart. Like if you don't see it coming, he can't move. But the thing about Daenerys is that when she actually has the battle, she's fully aware there's going to be 20 hours.
Yeah. She's in control.
If you watch the episode before that, she actually flies directly at that fleet, sees the arrows coming, and then makes evasive maneuvers. So it's clear that the dragons have good enough reflexes to avoid those arrows. Yeah. And like the whole reload and reposition of the scorpions.
If a dragon faster, and then they just get burnt. There's no faster.
If a dragon's on offense, you're losing.
Yeah, you're fucked.
If a dragon's on defense, you might get a draw, like they did when Drogon was flying at them, because that was a defensive maneuver. But this was all Dany. Dany did what she didn't do last week, and she fucking scouted. She knew exactly where they were. She knew how many people there were. She was up in the sky. She could just look down and see this. They didn't know she was coming from above. They had the arrows pointed outwards because they're like, she has to fly into us. So
they shot arrows at her, and you can see him move and stuff like that. So the whole thing was, they think because they got rid of one of them, that was cut off guard,
so easy to
that they'll get the second one. They even put more scorpions all over the shop. It just wasn't good enough. That's the gig.
No, I agree. Anyway, before we move on to theories for next week, let's objectify a bit, okay? Because it's time to go on to Katie Harvey's segment for the week, ladies and gentlemen. It is the latest edition of Harvey's Hotties.
I did warn Phil about this segment, and he was all right about it.
What's it called?
Harvey's Hotties.
Harvey's what?
She wants a
Hotties.
segment to
She's
talk
a
about.
feminist, by the way. So let's just. I want to point this one out. She's a feminist,
I'm a feminist, not fucking like.
but you're objectifying.
and
You're
asexual,
objectifying
like.
men. So what you are is a shit feminist.
Like, feminists can find men attractive.
You're objectifying. I can find things attractive. I can find anything as long as I don't objectify that fucker. As long as I don't go on a podcast and be like, "Oh, check out the fucking tits on that one." If I was this week and it was like fucking
I'm not like,
Justy's
oh, look at the ball
Jezebels,
sack on-
and it was like, oh,
Justy's
yeah.
Jezebels.
Do you know what I really liked about this
Sounds
episode
filthy.
is that I got a little fucking look at Brienne's ankle. Oh yeah,
This is Katie's segment, is it?
It's Katie's segment. Yeah.
Not anymore. Anyways, welcome back to Justy's Jezebels.
Objectifying.
I was telling Phil about previous recipients of this award, and he was okay with all of them except for Podrick.
Because Podrick knows what to do.
Who else has been on it? Can I get a
So Jorah,
fair?
Podrick, Theon.
Give your reason.
No.
Give your
Theon
give your reason for
Is a
Theon.
re-
My
Theon.
reason for Theon,
Yeah.
redemption is sexy.
Redemption is sexy.
Yeah.
And he has a similar sized peanut to.
Little boy.
Don't give him a mic. Don't give him a mic.
And Jaime Lannister. This week we're going a bit left field,
Okay.
and we're going to go for the Hound
Oh.
because he's not like that bad looking. He could be,
He's an actor.
attractive.
Like. Yeah.
Yeah, and the real attractor is he's
Yeah.
attractive, but like he's really like kind now. Like
Right.
his kindness. Sandor is attractive. Maybe
He's
not
not
the
really
Hound. Sandor
kind. He told
is
Arya not to
attractive.
follow him because he didn't want her to die. But to everyone else, he was fairly.
Anybody remember him trying to get fucking Sansa out of Red Keep and
Yeah.
being like, "Follow me, little bird"? and
Little
she didn't
bird,
do it?
that's real
He's
cute.
always had
Yeah,
humanity in him, like.
yeah.
Plus, he doesn't like the mountain because the mountain's evil.
Yeah, humanity is sexy.
There you go.
Well, the white part of humanity, according to Katie Harvey. So because you're racist. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, let's talk about next week. The last episode of Game of Thrones ever.
I can't talk about it.
What we think is going to happen.
I don't have a clue.
I
haven't a
don't
fucking
care.
clue.
Like in
You
the
don't
nicest
care.
way possible. I don't care. Like
I
Fucking-
care like that it's ending, but I don't care how to get me there because I think they'll do a good job.
What do you think happens, though? Does Tyrion survive?
No,
I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
It does look bad for him, like.
I think Tyrion will get killed by your one on the dragons.
Okay.
Is there going to be a spin-off? Like,
Yeah,
so.
No,
they're-
I
they're
don't
two
think
years.
I don't think a
You know
spin-off.
what? I think there will. I think there'll be a prequel. I think.
The
I don't want
prequels are in
prequels.
production.
Do you think
Oh, are
do
they?
you think there's
Yeah.
going to be a Seven Kingdoms after this next episode?
I don't
Like-
think they're going to tell this story. I think this story is told.
Yeah, I think now this
Well,
is the
do you know
end
the
of
way we
this.
talk about the Mad King and stuff like that? What happened before? And
Yeah, like
everyone's living through the sins of
Prequels.
the father or something.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be a?
Oh, I think there could be a Westeros in 200 years' time. You know what I mean?
It'll be in 2 years our time. Like,
No, I don't think it's going to be like fucking. I don't think you're going to see like lads heading to work and inventing the internet and
Well-
like on Westeros.
well, what's like? But we all talk
Westeros.com.
Like,
I'd watch that
like
show.
Star Wars and stuff like that. Like we.
I
you
think,
have Luke
yeah.
Skywalker and stuff like that. I know it's actual time.
In like
Luke
20
Skywalker
years,
and
Game
stuff,
of Thrones is like Star Wars now, and that it's a franchise more than a show. Where they're gonna
because there's a full reality.
they're
a
gonna
universe.
answer every question that we want about this eventually
Yeah.
because there's money to be made in it,
Yeah.
and people will keep eating it up now for years. So we'll probably get like something in the future. I think with these characters, I think next week is the end.
I think the only question is next week is who kills Dany.
Yeah, do we think Arya? Like, it seemed to set up Arya
You
versus
seem to be
Dany.
fairly sure that
She has
she's
to
dying.
go.
Well, this is
She
it.
has
Like,
to go. I've also seen the ads on Sky.
no
I know,
spoilers,
but Sky, it's ads on Sky. It's not.
Here,
I know,
Give
but
that
everyone
away,
makes a choice as well, though. So
Yeah.
let's
Well, hold
You
on,
wanna
why
see
don't,
it if you
like,
watch Sky
just-
Sports or something like.
if you don't want to hear it in this room, put your fingers in your fucking ears and say la la la. Phil, tell me, if you don't want to hear it at home, put your fingers in your fucking ears and say la la la.
Or
you
just take
dumb
your
shit.
earphones out. That's like, if anything, if you put your fingers in your
Yeah.
ears with earphones, you make it louder.
I'm going to stuff this Q-tip in to get that Q-tip out.
It's not a massive. Look, it's not a massive spoiler. Spoiler alert. All right. But like on the ads, it basically you see people looking very angrily at towards like the best way I can describe it is like when the Pope walks out. They're in the crowd. They're not beside her. They're in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's Arya. It's Jon. It's
right.
It's
okay.
Tyrion. Like she's standing by. All you see is her for like a second and a half walking out to this podium. And all you see is that Raki with knives in the air, and the Unsullied with things in the air. So she's still loved by a lot of people, but she's not loved by the heroes. And my whole thing is like, how do they swerve that in 75 minutes or whatever? Of like they're not going to coexist. They're just not. Like they're not just going to say, "Oh, well, this bit of a boo boo."
I really hope they do a Sopranos ending.
Oh, that's going to get shit all over.
With Journey.
Yeah, don't stop.
But on the cellos and stuff.
Just mid sentence, gone.
Don't stop believing. But yeah, I
How
think
sour would you be if it ended on a
spoiler over?
On a cliff?
I'd be like,
Cliffhanger.
I'd be like, how did you get in here, Cliff? I don't know why they like. I can't see that happening. But if they left it on like a kind of an open-ended kind of a thing, I'd be like, well, maybe that means we're getting something else, and I just live in like hope for the rest of my life.
Which is just
like,
mean.
Yeah, it's like I would just be. You'll see me years from now, like semi-naked on the street, just with a tinfoil hat, just shouting things into a dumpster. You'd be like, wow. Game of Thrones really ruined that
Arya
guy.
walks into the room alone with Dany, and Dany goes, "I've been expecting you." Turns around, cuts the black.
Doodle-doo, dude.
I don't think it's going to be a good ending.
Okay, we think we're getting a sad ending.
No, I just don't think people are going to like it.
Oh, it's
I get you.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but I just don't see it being a good ending.
Okay.
I feel like people are going to be dissatisfied.
Okay.
Not bad ending.
Dissatisfied from it.
I would have backed at the start of the season that Cersei sits on the throne. I thought she was. My whole theory was that we all knew the Battle of Winterfell was going to happen and the dead were coming, and I thought every good single living soul in the world was going to march toward, and the Seven Kingdoms was going to march towards them, and they were going to have this epic battle like they did, and they would just about defeat the dead, and kind of how it went. And I literally thought that her army would just march up behind them and kill them, but because it happened so early, if that had happened this episode, like episode what are we on 5?
We're on 6. We're going on 6 now, yeah.
Yeah, so if that had episode 5 would say my theory's true, but that's when I thought that's the only way I can see a heel sitting on the throne. Like I think it has to end with a face.
I think Sansa's.
I don't think.
Katie's been saying Sansa for a while.
Yeah.
Are you holding true to your theory? I agree with this theory. I think Sansa's.
Oh yeah, like Sansa's emerged as like the level-headed leader who's like learned from everyone she's come across in the past. Like
I think Sansa could have Tyrion Lannister as her main squeeze.
Yeah, like I think they'd be a great pair to rule.
Yeah.
I also don't think that it's going to be. I think they're going to split back into 7 kingdoms, though.
Right.
So
there won't be an Iron
I don't
Throne.
think there's going to be an
too,
Iron Throne. Yeah, I think everyone's going to go.
I didn't
back
think
to doing their own
maybe
thing.
not 7 kingdoms, but I definitely think the north and south are going to divide. Like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I read a theory last week, and I shared this in the Low Blows WhatsApp, but I'll say it here too. And it was just like, it was on Binge Mode podcast. Great. If you're looking for extra Game of Thrones podcast, really, really good, really detailed as well. They know their shit. But there was one conversation, and this has been kind of building, that hasn't been paid off yet. Tyrion and Bran have been having a lot of conversations throughout the season. They've been like Tyrion pulled up the night before the Battle of Winterfell, and he's like, "I'd love to hear your story," and then they just cut away from it, and they never gave us any payoff on what that story was. After the Battle of Winterfell, they did this thing where it's like, what do you want? And then Bran's like, I don't really want anymore. And that was actually a really good Bran.
Yeah,
I did a good impression.
Really good.
That's
the
the
first.
best
I did a good
impression you've
impression.
done.
Oh my god,
impression.
I didn't mean it. Holy shit. Wow, this is a finale. But anyway, but Tyrion and Varys, let's not forget, had a conversation about Jon Snow, but it can be used elsewhere, where they said, what if the best ruler is someone who doesn't want to be a ruler? In the same episode, Bran said, I don't want anymore. Bran was high up in the bookies before the season. I don't know what the odds are now, and I'm not even looking. But he was high up for being on the Iron Throne at the end. Could Bran be an outside shot?
Shite, that would be.
I don't agree that it's necessarily going to be the best
Really
or people
bad
will be
ending,
happy, but
He'd be a good hand. Like
I think his story should be done now. Like, I don't think he needs to be involved anymore. Like, my whole thing is that, like, I've been hearing theories mainly from Katie. Because I don't look at anything on the internet except computer games and stuff.
What stuff?
and stuff.
Midget porn. Don't say midget. Sorry. Apologize. My whole thing about Bran is that everyone's talking about, like, he can. Somebody said to me, like, oh, he sent the horse, or he controlled the dragon. Daenerys didn't know anything about. He got into the dragon, burned everyone to make her look dirt, right? And so that would make everyone want to make Jon the rightful king. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, so he did it for Jon. And I was kind of like, but the whole thing about Bran is that he lives in the past. He doesn't actually. Has he actually predicted the future?
We've seen him have flashes
of the future.
Like, yeah, like think of his
or the present.
The dragon flying over the Red Keep. The dragon flying over the Red
present,
Keep.
though, isn't it?
The dragon flying over the Red Keep could only be relevant now. Like the Red Keep in ruins. Do you remember that scene? Do you remember he had the flashes where he saw the Mad King and Jaime stabbing him, where he had like a flashback of like 50 different things.
like
there
when he's in the tree.
There was a dragon flying over King's Landing.
He needs to learn it because
the
Night King is coming at him. Yeah,
exactly.
Hold on, that episode.
Yeah, that one. So like we have seen that he has gone into the future, but we don't know if he can control it or whatever. We don't know a lot about Bran's powers.
What if on that one he was just seeing Dany getting prophesies too? So Dany saw that same thing in a prophecy where when she was in the House of the Undying.
Maybe.
And what if, now this is just me pulling something clean on my arse, that what if he was just seeing her getting prophesies because that's in the past?
Okay, no, that could work.
I agree with that. I think Bran literally has never predicted the future.
Yeah.
If you want to take that one scene, he hasn't predicted that else, and everyone's all like, well, he knows what's going to happen. No, he doesn't. Like, he really, like, I'm convinced he doesn't.
Give me the Westeros Lotto numbers, Bran. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is true. Buckeye, so we're looking forward to it. We're all hyped for next week. B, you're expecting disappointment. Are you going from the, like, if I expect to be disappointed, I might be pleasantly surprised angle, or are you just tempering yourself?
I watched an interview with all the actors and they didn't seem too impressed.
Oh, that, yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from.
I've seen that clip
throwing
as well.
You off, though.
That could be.
I've seen that as well, though, and like, I could make a 3-hour that's a 3-minute cut of the actor saying they're disappointed. I could make a 3-hour cut of them saying it's the best show ever. You know what I mean? Like,
she showed me something on Instagram, and it was Jaime and Cersei putting up a picture saying, it's been an amazing 10 years. And I was like, oh, that's
great point, Phil.
That's them.
Haven't heard that before.
That's a great point, Phil.
But my whole point was that if you're going to work somebody, is that exactly your point? Because that was my point when I said it. She's after taking everything I said when we watched the show together and playing it off.
Do you know what Phil is on this podcast? Phil is Katey +1. And now after Katey says something,
I'm guaranteeing you, everything that she said that's made any way some sort of sense for the last, like, whatever, 5 episodes of this you've done has came out of my mouth.
Behind every Katey, there's a good Phil. There we go, guys.
Do you want to hear what I want to happen next week?
Yes, we do.
I want for Arya to kill Daenerys, but to save, like, Jon couldn't do it, so Arya does it, and I just want her just to get that kill. But I want at some stage during the episode Dany to say Dracarys, and for the dragon to do that whole little thing he's looking at with Tyrion, and he's just about to give him the big, and then out of nowhere Bronn jumps in with a crossbow, fucking shoots the dragon in the fucking face. Dragon falls down and fucking dies a big fucking horrible death. Bronn the Dragon Slayer, and then he says, I owed you that one, and then it was a decent one, he does a big Mr. Hanky kind of howdy ho wave, but he doesn't say howdy ho, but he just does that wave, you know, that big circly one like that, and then he jumps into a wagon that's full of gold that Cersei gave him. She's dead now, she won't want it back, so he didn't have to kill any brothers. He killed the dragon. He heads off, and they're like, "Where are you going?" He goes, "I'm going up north to see Tormund and the wolf." And then
never met Tormund.
And then he never met Tormund. Yeah, listen, I didn't say this was going to happen, guys. This is what I want to happen. So like, anyways, like, no, Bronn will head off wherever he heads off, and he'll get himself a castle and the whole lot. And then Jon will be really sad, and he'll be like, "Right, I'm going back to Winterfell." And as he heads back, he gets to Winterfell, and everybody's dead in Winterfell. And when you look around, there's just legs spiraled everywhere, all over the place. And the White Walkers are pretty much saying, "We ain't gone yet, bitch." And
that's a cool twist.
Yeah. He's not that. It's just what I mean to say.
That's a cool twist.
They killed that Night King, but there always has to be a Night King.
What about the Night Queen?
But there's what I'm thinking. Someone else. What I'm thinking is that there always has to be, like, there has to be a Stark at Winterfell. There has to be a fucking there has to be a King of the Night, and that's what I think. And I think
that'd be a fucking good twist.
And when all the people are talking about Bran being the Night King in the end and all this, or Bran's evil and all this kind of stuff, I think it would be a really interesting story if it turns out that Jon has to accept becoming the Night King to save the realm. But I can't imagine that happening in the last episode. But I just think it's a lot. It's a lot happening.
I like the twist that everyone's dead.
Oh, like everyone, like you've dismissed the fact that like the Night King died 3 episodes ago, and I like the idea of him coming back up to the north, being all sad, and then realizing, there's Ghost is dead and splattered all over. No, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying, like, and then you look, and then here's Tormund fucking.
He's not actually.
Guys, ghosts aren't real. Phil's right. Ghosts aren't real, guys.
Ghost is real.
But
the yoke
don't say.
How can you meet
Hey,
him?
don't say
Ghost
Israel.
is still real to me. Damn it!
don't bring up Israel in this fucking thing, because like there's that apartheid thing and fucking Eurovision. A lot of this is coming up. Don't say anything is real. But I just went meta for a pun. But I just picture in my head Tormund fucking nailed to a tree with a bunch of legs all around him on fire.
I'd like to see Jon not accept the throne and like give it to Sansa or someone, and then go back and be reunited with Tormund and Ghost. Because remember Tormund, the way they left it was,
I'd like for Brienne to go over the wall, or to go beyond the
wall. I'd like that
like
too, yeah. With, like, he's gone to Castle Black.
I think the end could be Sansa sitting on the throne with Brienne,
because Brienne will be her.
That's
good point.
That's the last shot you see. I think either way, the last shot is going to be
strong women.
Someone sitting on the throne.
Yeah.
I think that Jon is going to kill Daenerys, and I think it's going to hark back to the first episode when they were like, whoever passes the sword or passes the sentence, sword, and they're going to tie it right back to the first episode.
So it looks like Arya's going to do it, and Jon is like, this is my responsibility.
This is mine.
I still think the ending is Sam writing A Song of Ice and Fire, like the epilogue. After, like I think we'll get like the Iron Throne shot. And
I just don't see why it's necessary.
I'd be furious.
I forgot Sam existed.
Yeah, it's just.
But it's not.
Some people's stories are just done.
Sam is George R. R. Martin.
Bronn's story is done.
I don't think Bronn's story is done. I think Tormund's story is done. I think Bronn's story could be done, but like I think there's still something there for him, because they teased it too much, like something could happen. Right? And just because Jaime's dead now doesn't mean like he's not going to come.
And when Game of Thrones comes back in 2 years, you're going to see Bronn. Lord of the.
We all wanted him to be the twins, but
I'd really love.
Because he gets 2 castles then.
I'd really love there to be a spin-off series with like Tormund and Ghost, and throw Bronn in there just for the crack. Like do you know when you do these spin-off series and it's like they never met each other, but who cares? It's fun. But throw Bronn in there, and they're just going on adventures beyond the wall.
The A-team thing.
They're sitting in the castle. Yeah. One of them's always never clean up after himself. The other one's cleaning.
Brann's there, and he's like the phone, and he's like, guys, we're needed somewhere, and then they just and they get into a van. I don't know why they're in a van, but anyway, yeah, I'd watch the shit out of that.
Do you think that that Bran is going to get a job being Wikipedia after all this is going out? So like people just come up to him and be like, what is the weight of 4 budgies. He has to tell them, like, he's like, I know everything that's
It's like
ever
Ralph
happened.
Rex the internet, yeah. It's exactly Bran and be like, yeah, exactly. No, it's just like Sam's writing it, and he's like, and it was really, really, Bran, and he's like, amazing. That's the fucking word. Or it's Sam doing a crossword and Bran just telling them all the answers. Anyway, guys, it doesn't matter what we want because in a few days we will find out once and for all, and we will be back to recap it next week. Justy will be back. We'll have Jerry also in the hot seat. But guys, thank you so much. Katie will be back and Keen's going to be back as well. Shout out to him and good luck with your exams this week. Corporate Keen as well. Check him out on YouTube. He's returning next week. Looking forward to that.
We're all so very excited about this one.
You thought that sounds like it is exciting. It's exciting.
Tell him about the first time you met Keane and you threatened him with a knife down the gym.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Oh, this is
yeah, you did.
Phil
You
doesn't
did.
even
He
remember.
definitely
We were all there in the
threatened
gym about to go to a show, and like I think
I've
Southie
threatened many people with knives before.
There could be a lot of people.
I think Southie
Remember
was picking
everyone.
up Keane, and we were down there, and like we were packing my car, and it was lashing rain, and I think Keane was standing just in the entrance to the gym, and Phil found a penknife and legged it towards him, screaming and laughing at the same time. And Keane nearly died.
Of all people to do with it,
Yeah.
like. Thank you to our guest. He's gone. He's disappeared. Phil Boyd, thank you
He's
very much.
legitimately gone to the bar, which
For
is
that.
such a Phil Boyd move.
Be cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Loved getting your insight. Enjoyed the last episode. Any bookings coming up and any merch on sale and you want to plug?
Justy Jitsu kind of fucked that up for him.
You
so.
mean you don't want to plug your big tag team title defense, the first one ever that's happening in like 2 weeks?
Oh yes, with a Fight Factory.
You little prick.
Yeah.
Will I give the details about the show?
Yes,
That's happening
it's
on May
Angel
31st.
Cruisers. Shut
Yeah.
up for a second. I will go. Then
Okay.
actually, you go because I'm after telling you to shut up, and I feel bad now.
You just can't remember who you're wrestling.
Yeah, it's just like that whole fucking Jaime and Cersei are still alive thing.
More than hype. And it's Angel Cruisers, more than hype. June 31st.
No.
May
Okay.
31st.
hell.
May 31st.
It's like Friday
I'm
week.
super excited for the next episode of Game of Thrones. Almost as excited as I am for episode 8 of Fight Factory Pro Wrestling, featuring the Andrew Cruisers versus Morton Hype for the Irish Tag Team Championships.
Who's going over in that?
Ask Bran.
You're jobbing.
We're also going to have the Cruiserweight quarterfinals happening where the top 4 will qualify for the Jonathan Gresham show, which I'm even more excited about more than Game of Thrones and anything like that. And can we also talk about how did Jaime Lannister and Euron Greyjoy?
We were done.
That was
The show's
pointless.
over.
That was pointless, though,
Okay,
right?
there we go.
That was
We got
pointless,
it.
right? Who
We
killed
got it.
Jaime Lannister?
The roof.
Not him.
The red
Yeah,
piece,
he
the
didn't.
roof.
Jamie
Yeah.
Lannister's not dead.
Yeah, I felt like that little.
lads, we can't do another 2 hours. J.O. Boy Margie, thank you to Phil, thank you to Be Cool, thank you to Justy. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Katie. We'll be back next week with Justy and Jerry to wrap up the final episode of Game of Thrones. But until then, guys,
That'd be a dreadful one.
Oh, yeah.
until then, guys, now our watch has ended.